PWF Empire is live. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We got a lot of stuff to discuss in the fallout of WWE SummerSlam. We have the new Universal Champion. He had to relinquish the title on Monday Night Raw. That was Finn Balor, and now vacant as a champion. Longest reigning Universal Champion in WWE history, and he did it in such a short time. Phenomenal. One of the greatest of the greats, that vacant there. But yeah, we'll be talking about that. Also, we'll be covering what's going on over on SmackDown with their world title scene. And I'm on the hosting panel tonight with Steven and Evan.
What was that? What did you just call it?
It's a world title now. We'll get there.
All right.
We'll get there.
All right.
So I guess this is becoming a little bit of a tradition. We're at the very least, we're trying to build one. It's going to be on you this week, Steven. Are we talking about the Universal Championship or the WWE Championship first?
Let's get the shittier one out of the way first.
I was hoping you were going to be like your homeboy Donald Trump there and jump back and forth. But yeah, I digress.
Okay. You can't take shots and then expect me to hold my breath. I'm gonna reply to you later.
Okay, so I guess we're talking about the Universal Championship first. Was that the one you were referring to?
How did you know?
Well, they got some stuff going on because as it was announced and as we saw at the beginning of Monday Night Raw, Finn Balor had to relinquish the title. He was injured during his match with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. It was during, was it during a powerbomb spot? Was that it?
It was the powerbomb to the barricade.
Yeah. And that video was so damn crazy. Of course, no one thought anything of it the first time around, but when we saw the replay, knowing that Finn Balor was injured, you could actually see the guy grabbing his damn arm and, putting his shoulder back into the friggin' socket. What a badass. And then he finished the rest of the match. So, I mean, major kudos to Finn Balor, but what a terrible moment this is for him. Not even 24 hours after winning the championship, having to vacate it, and now he's going to be on the shelf for, 6 months or however long it's going to be. But that's a real terrible moment for him.
Yeah, and I didn't even think he got hurt from the match. Like you mentioned, it when it happened live, I didn't even think about it. He didn't seem like laboring through the rest of the match, at least watching it live. I didn't even think, oh my god, Balor's definitely got to be hurt from that. But you look at the replay and he instantly grabbed right at that shoulder because his arm just got kind of hung up right around the barricade, and the rest of him was going down, and that stays up, and that's just a terrible occurrence and an awful way to start Raw. I think it really set a somber tone for that show, and then the show just wasn't really very good anyway, but that really set a bad tone for it. And it also makes the Universal title look terrible. Obviously, it's nobody's fault, but it makes the Universal title look like complete crap because someone finally wins it, and now we have to determine another champion already.
This is not something that you want when you're establishing a brand new world championship.
Not at all.
The Universal title had needed no help looking like crap.
But this doesn't help.
Yeah, it only makes it worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the title
we'll get
does
there
look
later
like crap.
About. I guess when you say the Universal Championship didn't need any help looking like crap, you and your fellow Brooklynites there, you definitely did what you could.
Well, I'm not a Brooklynite, but I was there.
What else is there to say about Finn Balor? I hope for a very speedy recovery. We don't know what Finn Balor is truly made out of. Hopefully he has some of that John Cena stuff going on with him. He's a demon. That's very, non-human. Maybe he has that, mutant healing ability that John Cena does. So maybe we'll see him back sooner than later.
One can only hope. 6 months is a while. So the good thing is, it looks like he'd be able to return prior to WrestleMania next year, which could be could be great. So I mean, his return could be an awesome one and could lead to a great moment in early 2017. So on the bright side, we might get some cool stuff from him next year. I just hope that this is not going to be something, a sign of things to come, like he's going to get injured multiple times. Hopefully this is just the injury, and then, everything goes from there. Because, Finn Balor is just so good, and it's taken him a long time to get to this spot. He deserved to get a big moment like he did at SummerSlam, whether you like the title or not, this, that, the other. Still nice that he won a championship. It was cool to finally see. And then, under 24 hours later, he has that ripped away from him, which is just awful.
And now we have a tournament going on to determine the new WWE Universal Champion. We'll have a fatal 4-way match next week, and you could tell by watching this last episode of Raw, they were booking this thing on the fucking fly, and they masked it as breaking news
every week.
Breaking news. No, it was very apparent this week. You could say that before they booked the show, 2 hours before it went on air, they made changes, a second before they went. You could tell they were making changes as the show was going on, and it had a kind of crazy feeling to it. I don't necessarily want to say that it was like successful, but it was definitely interesting. But yeah, we have a tournament going on to crown a new Universal Champion. We'll have a fatal 4-way match next week, and the participants of that match will be Roman Reigns, Big Cass,
Kevin Owens,
and who was the other person? Seth Rollins. Yeah, Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. The man. How can you forget the man?
Watch out, guys.
Demon King. Where is he?
Yeah, Bret Hart, he's probably sending all those other 3 guys messages like, you guys better, watch out. But, yeah. What are you guys thinking about the way that they're determining a new Universal Champion?
I wish it was done this week. I don't think they had any time to waste. They should have just done it right away on this episode of Raw. And normally I'm the one who's saying, like, make sure a moment gets, built up to and this, that, the other. But it's like, this is a freak thing that happened to Finn Balor. Like, if I'm Raw and I'm the brass, Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley, I'm thinking, okay, that Universal title needs to be put on somebody by the end of tonight. We need a champion. We got to make our brand look strong. We got to have a champion to represent Raw, a world champion. So I would have had this all culminate on the first Raw. Well, I don't think waiting till next week makes all that much sense.
And then I noticed that there were people in the tournament that didn't appear at the, in that opening segment. Was I? Because I don't think I saw Rusev there.
Rusev was the only one, I believe, who was not in that segment.
Was Neville there?
No, yeah, that's right. Not Neville either.
What the hell is up with those slackers getting shots? Like, if you didn't have enough, guts to come out to the ring, then why the hell are you getting a shot?
Well, apparently everyone deserves a shot. It's the socialist world title, which is why it's red.
Well, the funny thing, too, with this segment, or the matches with Rusev, is that he counted himself out, which I thought was very stupid. I mean, this is the same guy who went out of his way to defend his wife's honor, and now he won't even go out of his way to try to fight for the world title. I mean, I guess you could say, oh, well, Rusev thinks his title is most important in this, that, the other, but, like, it still is pretty it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to purposely, like, walk away from a match and be like, I don't need this. Like, I know he had hurt ribs or whatever, but it still doesn't add up for what, like, you would think he would try to cheat to win, not literally just give the victory to, who is he facing, Big Cass or whomever. I just don't get it. I thought that was a really dumb moment, personally.
Well, you did say he was fighting over his wife's honor. He lost that match, so maybe he's still affected by that.
He wants to go for the better title. He wants to beat Reigns for his wife's honor.
Yeah, saving himself for a bigger moment later down the road.
I agree with Evan.
I bet that's exactly what they want us to think.
I agree with Evan that it should have happened on Raw. Especially, I don't even think they should have had a tournament, to be honest with you. I'm so sick of tournaments, which is something that I don't think I would be saying, because tournaments were a thing that we never got until recently, and now we get them all the time. We even got one going on SmackDown right now. It's a bit too much, especially because they're all for the world title, and they're all during injuries. So I'm just like, this just makes me feel like the title's always like on an injured guy. So I wish they would have done something different. I kind of wish they just put it on Seth Rollins and got it over with. You know, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know who they're gonna put it on. I guess they might go with Reigns versus Rollins, which is, you know, something we've seen before and probably won't be that sight.
We probably need at this moment, to be quite honest.
I mean, what else are they gonna do? But I wish they would have just put it on Rollins. I mean, they declared him the number one contender. He was the one who fought Balor. The other guys had their chance in the past tournament that they just did, and they didn't make it. So I don't know why Rollins didn't just get the title by default, but maybe he'll get it next week.
Right, you mentioned SmackDown. Let's go ahead and jump over to the Blue brand. They had a different way of determining who was going to be in the title picture over there. Due to AJ Styles winning his match versus John Cena at SummerSlam, he was automatically moved into that number one contender spot, and he faced Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown to see if Dolph Ziggler would get a shot at the championship once again, and he lost, you know, as a loser does. And yeah, now we have Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship set for SmackDown's upcoming show, Backlash.
The WWE World Championship, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that the third name in like a month and a half? Because it was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, then it was the WWE Championship again, and now it's WWE World Championship.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to follow along with it, but I mean,
you can throw in some super dupers in there.
Super duper IC Championship as well. I mean, you know, so
Super
four
duper
names.
World Championship. I wouldn't go that far.
I definitely like AJ Styles being number one contender. I think
Yes.
I like the way that they kind of just said he is number one contender, but Dolph, you get a chance if you can beat him. Like, I like that they didn't say, okay, well, you guys are going to fight for the number one contendership.
Yes.
Because AJ Styles beat John Cena squeaky motherfucking clean. Like, there is no in-between here. If you beat John Cena the 2 nights before, you're number one contender. It's like you just beat one of the top guy. So, like, it only makes sense for him to be in that slot for the WWE Championship. Definitely like that.
I'm excited for this feud, and this is easily going to be the better program going forward. I don't see what they could do on Raw's side to top this, aside from putting Kevin Owens in the world title picture, which would get my attention, but it would also seem a bit out of the blue, so I don't even know if that would do it. But I'm excited for this. I just think it desperately needs a double turn because the fans do not really want to boo AJ, and I'm starting to see them turn on Ambrose, so I think this is a great time to capitalize on that growing distaste for Ambrose. I don't really know why it's coming, but when I was at Brooklyn, well, look, your opinions aren't reflective, and so you know that. So it can't be for the same reasons that you have a problem.
No,
with
it's just everyone is late to the party. It's the same reasons.
Oh, well, maybe. But I was at Brooklyn, and I don't know how it came across on TV, but Ambrose was booed a lot.
I wish I could have heard boos. I didn't hear anything.
He was booed. He was booed when he was when his name was announced in the very beginning. He was booed sort of throughout the match too. It wasn't overwhelming boos. I mean, he got some cheers, but he was definitely the heel in that match, and I think that's why you saw him healing it up. I think he was capitalizing on that and just playing the part that they were giving him there. But I definitely think they need a double turn because I don't like AJ as a heel. I think maybe I'm in the minority there. I like the edginess that he brings, but I just feel like something is wrong when he's the heel. It just doesn't seem right. I feel like everyone wants to cheer this guy. It's not really... I always like it when the tide of the crowd goes along with the alignments, and if he's heel and everyone wants to cheer him, I'm not really a fan of that.
I mean, if he's face, just keep him off the mic, and I'll be fine with that.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I think that's why we all have liked heel AJ more, is because he's better this way. Like, he honestly carries himself so much better. But I think he can carry himself this way and still be a face. He'll end up feeling a little bit more like a tweener, I think, because he'll still be kind of an ass, but people will cheer it, you know? I mean, I think that's fine. I just don't want his character to switch up too much from what we got right now, because I think this AJ Styles is in his best moments right now. I think he's doing a lot better. His promos have been stepped up. His matches are always going to be good. But I think that the feud with John Cena, had some of his stronger points in his WWE run. I know we're only going off of 6-7 months, but I mean, I think the heel AJ has been great, but I mean, you can still make that a cheerable character. If you could make Stone Cold Steve Austin a cheerable character, you can certainly make this version of AJ Styles a cheerable character.
Now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, I don't know about that, because I love the way that AJ wrestles in the ring as a heel. Because he wrestles with a very cocky style and like, yeah, bitch, I got swag. Like that's what AJ Styles seems like to me. And that match with him and John Cena at Money in the Bank, aside from that ending, the perfect characterization of AJ Styles right there. The way that his character shines through the in-ring action, that seems so cocky, so arrogant, so fun to me. And if we would risk getting rid of that just to turn him face, then I don't think I want to see AJ Styles face.
No, I think I'm in the minority there. I don't really like AJ as a heel. I mean, like I said, I like the edginess, but that's not even related, in my opinion, to what he's doing as a heel. In fact, I don't like what he's doing as a heel at all. I feel like the content is really shitty. The promos he gives make no sense. I mean, he's just shitting on little kids now. Is that AJ Styles? I mean, why? Just because heel, right? I never like when people are just assholes because heel. I just don't feel like he's that guy. And I mean, Kevin Owens is that guy, right? We expect Kevin Owens to shit on little kids, but that are not his. But I wouldn't expect AJ to do that even as a heel. So I don't know. I don't like the content of what he's putting out, but I do like the edginess. But we'll see what happens going forward.
And a good thing now is we could actually put the focus on Dean Ambrose again. Yeah, so I could resume my trash talking about how bad his character is.
I thought he was so unfunny when they did that segment where he was wearing the like oversized hat. I thought that was really cheesy and in a very bad way. I thought that was horrible. His commentary in the main event kind of
I didn't think it was that bad.
I thought it was terrible.
It was cheesy, and if Roman Reigns was to go out there and do something like that, people would completely shit all over him.
Yeah,
but Roman Reigns is a different type of character than Ambrose. Ambrose is that character, whether it's
it
fits.
They've tried to push Roman Reigns down that road too, and
it never worked.
I agree that I fully feel that Dean Ambrose is more fitting for that type of segment. I just still thought it sucked. Like, just because it fits his character doesn't mean it's going to be a good fit. And I mean, I think his commentary in the main event was all right. It was, I don't know, a couple of times I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, you talk about, AJ Styles weren't sure what he was talking about in a couple of past promos. I thought Ambrose seemed kind of out of it during that main event match.
Yeah, I agree with that too. He was out of it. He was saying he's a bit too casual. I mean, that's sort of his problem. Mm-hmm. He's too casual, and I think that he thinks that's a virtue, but it's not really.
Yeah, it's almost like the RVD chill vibes type of thing that he's got going on.
Yeah, that's not good.
And I'm not really loving that.
Hopefully,
aspect.
The source of Dean Ambrose's chill vibes aren't the same as RVD's.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there, but that main event match, what I was gonna continue with is that main event match on SmackDown Live was awesome. That Ziggler and Styles was great, and that near fall after Ziggler hit the zigzag, and I thought he actually won the match. I legit was like, whoa, when Styles kicked out.
AJ Styles is really good. AJ is really good at kicking out.
Yes, he's got those near falls down.
He does that thing where he makes it seem very believable when he takes you right up to that final split second, and then that's when he kicks out.
I can akin that to Kurt Angle. I think Kurt Angle has that same type of, like, he would kick out very last second, like so close to 3. And maybe because AJ worked with Kurt so much in the past, maybe that rubbed off on Styles a little bit. I don't know. I'm not saying it did, but I mean, very similar to me. It reminded me of Kurt Angle's kickouts. Like, he always has you, suspends your belief that, it's over, and then, wow, he kicks out at the last second. But that match was really good, and it felt like something was on the line. Like, thankfully, the main event wasn't just two guys going out there and wrestling because they're both good in the ring. Like, no, they wrestled because Ziggler was actually trying to get into the match, and Styles was trying to prevent that. So I liked it. Something was on the line. It made SmackDown feel like it had something worth watching, and again, the match quality was good, but the fact that there was something on the line, I think, made it that much better.
Okay, let's see. We're gonna move on to Buy or Sell next. First up, first impressions of the direction of Backlash. We were on the subject of SmackDown, and it looks as if we're all in agreement that the direction of the WWE Championship picture, that's looking pretty good. We also have what's going on with the women's division, a six-pack challenge for the women's championship, which we'll talk about, like the design of that title and the tag team titles a little bit later on. But let's just look at the matches themselves and how we're building towards Backlash, the very first brand-specific pay-per-view in this brand extension for WWE. So, from the first impressions, do you buy or sell the direction of Backlash?
I'm gonna buy the direction of Backlash. I like this tag team tournament they got going on. Again, we'll talk about those designs a little later. But that tournament they got going on, interesting. The women's six-pack challenge, also interesting. And then you got that Ambrose Styles match, which just from the little stare down at the end of the show and Styles knocking the headset off of Ambrose, just that little stare down did something for me. That already got me excited for this match. Not even just on paper. I'm already like, you know what? It feels like there's something in the air with these two guys already. So I am really looking forward to Backlash already. So considering this is the first brand split pay-per-view, I think SmackDown's kicking Raw's ass in the brand split so far. But B, I think that they need to have a good first SmackDown pay-per-view. And I think that they're shaping that up really well. Obviously, we'll see how it plays out, but so far, so good.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty good. SmackDown has been the better show, which I kind of knew would happen. After the first night, I said, well, yeah, Raw was awesome, but they kind of blew their load there. I mean, they blew up like 3 huge matches. I mean, no wonder it was so good, right? And a lot of the things on Raw that were new at the first episode are kind of old by now. Like, I'm already getting tired of the not the Brodus Clay, the Braun Strowman and Nia Jax squash matches. But yeah, Backlash is looking good because SmackDown is a lot tighter as a show. It has a lot fewer resources and time. It has less wrestlers. It has to make use of what they have a lot better. And SmackDown has always been sort of known for doing that. So I'm not too surprised that it's turning out this way, and I'm actually happy that it is. I wish SmackDown had a few better people on their roster, like I said in our draft review, but they're doing pretty well with what they have, and I'm actually surprised how really good the Divas division is over there.
What's the Divas division?
The women's division.
Okay,
because when it first
we'll give Steven a pass here. That's a habit. I do it too.
When the draft happened, I think we were all sort of going like, who the fuck is on the SmackDown brand in terms of women? But now that I look at it,
I'm still doing that.
Really? Because they actually have they have Nikki Bella, they have Becky Lynch, Natalya, and Naomi.
Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch.
Natalya and Naomi are both great wrestlers too. I mean, we might not like them that much, but
I'm liking Naomi.
Naomi has never been fully utilized in WWE, and I could look at her and I could say that I'm a fan of Naomi. I like Naomi, but I can't look at who Naomi is right now and say that's a finished product. She has to work up to the point.
I'm not saying they're finished products. I'm just saying in terms of raw potential. At first, I didn't think they had any, but now that I'm looking at it, they actually have something that could pass as a division if they work at it. And they have some good characters like Carmella, Alexa Bliss, and Eva Marie are all good characters, even though they're not. Some of them might not be the best wrestlers. It actually feels a lot like the SmackDown women of old that were always sort of funner. But yeah, in terms of tag teams, I still don't think they have anything good on there. They have American Alpha and the Usos, but aside from that, it's kind of shit. But overall, the build-up is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm liking the build-up for Backlash with this first impression of it, so I'm going to go ahead and buy it as well. I talked about SmackDown for like 17 or 18 minutes in the solo video that I uploaded to PWF Empire's YouTube channel and the actual website, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. Things are looking up for SmackDown. I like the development that they're putting into all of the respective divisions, and it's reaping some great results for them, so I'm buying that. Next up, we have, over on the side of Monday Night Raw, Bayley has made her official debut on the Raw brand. We saw her not too long ago on a pay-per-view, but she is officially a member of Raw right now and moved up permanently to the main roster. Now, it seems as if, well, it doesn't seem as if she has moved right into the title picture, the women's championship over there. So do you all buy or sell Bayley's debut on Raw?
I really like Bayley so much, and I think her debut here was fitting and necessary based off of what happened with Sasha Banks. I mean, her injury, however long that may be for, I really haven't heard. But let's just assume it is a number of weeks. You're going to need somebody to step up and be in that spot where Sasha would be. And Bayley, coming from NXT, is already more relevant and more ready for that spot than just about anybody damn else on that Raw women's roster. I don't care. Like, Bayley coming right up and into that spot, it feels natural, it feels right. So yeah, I am going to buy it because I think Bayley versus Charlotte is a good feud. Bayley, the epitome of what it is to be a babyface in 2016, and Charlotte, who's I think has been getting better and better, and I really did like the way in which she won the title at SummerSlam. It was one of the highlights of the show, at least for me. So I really am looking forward to this match, and I do buy it. I'm so glad. She deserves the call-up.
I am going to buy Bayley's debut, even though I wanted to see another match with her and Asuka. I really did. Even if it amounted to Asuka beating Bayley, well, shit, if she was going to go up to the main roster anyway, I guess it didn't matter at that point. But I wanted to see another match between those two. But with Bayley debuting on the main roster, I'm going to go ahead and buy it. And I'm hoping that we get some good stuff out of Bayley. Like, I am praying that they do her justice. And I was chatting with Hoodies. He's in the chat right now. I was chatting with him on Twitter. He probably thinks I'm crazy based off of my thoughts on Bayley, but just know, guys, I got plans for her. Big plans. Huge plans, okay? But we'll see.
I think you say that a lot. You got plans for people. I don't think you realize that the WWE doesn't give a shit about your plans.
They need to, because this plan could make them a boatload of fucking money.
Yeah, well, a lot of things could, but they seem to be content on doing their
things. I am dead set on this. I have never been more set on a plan that I have had.
Well, I'm curious now. When are you going to outline this plan?
I'm not saying anything because this is too radical.
So what? You're just going to tease the audience? You're not going to give us the payoff for this?
I'm not. I mean, you want me to be like Monday Night Raw right here. You want me to blow my whole load?
No, I just want to know when you're going to reveal it. You make it sound like you're never going to.
Keep your pants on, man.
I'm saving it.
We don't want you to blow your whole. Okay, so I saw.
I'm using the term that Steven used.
I know.
I'm using this degenerate's term. I don't talk like that usually.
That degenerate with the Trump hat. Anyway, some of your plans for Bayley involve like something what you said on Twitter about her being like this major star. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but
transformational.
Yeah, I mean, she, like I said, my words. The epitome of a babyface in 2016. I mean, she just has a special element and a connection with fans. Like when you see kids in the crowd actually like hugging her and crying when she loses and jumping for joy when she wins. It's like this, and not even just kids, adults too. Like there's people like getting emotional over this girl, and they don't get that way with most people. So Bayley has something very special. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, I'd buy it. I mean, what else is there to say? It was a great reaction. It was good timing. I don't see anything wrong with this at all.
Okay, next up, let's discuss something that you may see something wrong with. The new title designs in WWE. So, we got the Universal Championship, which is basically a replica of the WWE Championship, but just with red straps. We have the Women's Championship, which is the SmackDown Women's Championship, which is a replica of the Raw Women's Championship, which is a replica of the WWE Championship. But this time it has like the white straps and then a blue background behind the WWE logo. Then we have the SmackDown Tag Team titles. They are designed just like the Raw Tag Team titles, except that
creative.
Instead of being a penny, it's a dime, and it has a blue straps.
Well, dimes are worth more than pennies.
So, okay.
That's true. So SmackDown throwing shade at Raw. Okay.
Okay, so I'm not even going to ask Evan if he buys or sells this. I'm going to... but I do have to tell the audience the comment that you made before the show, because we do these pre-show meetings, and Evan goes, and I quote, "I'm not biased, but these titles fucking suck." So
I am biased, and they suck.
You heard it here.
So Evan, I'm gonna go ahead and throw it over to you.
Yeah, these are so unoriginal, man. I mean, I tweeted it last night, even at the start of SmackDown, like, it's just disappointing because to me, like, title designs, they're not everything, you know, because some people are like, hey, man, don't worry about it. It's just a title design. But, like, and I get it. It's not just about the way the title looks, but think about it this way. When you're fighting for a championship, don't you want to be proud to hoist that title up? And not only that, but even more importantly, don't you want to hold up a championship that nobody else in the company has anything similar to at all? Whereas right now, if you hold up the WWE World Championship versus the Universal title, the only friggin' difference is the coloring. It's the same goddamn championship, and both women's titles are that way. Now both tag titles are that way. It's very lazy, very unoriginal, and it's really a talking point. It's not a good thing at all, and it does matter. Like, even if it isn't the only thing that matters, those titles can still feel credible. They can still have good feuds with them. I'm not saying any of that is now defunct just because the championships look bad, but because they look bad, it does take away the specialty of winning a championship. Like, hey, I won the WWE World title, which means I won this title. You know, when they had the big gold belt and the WWE title, for example, when they had the World Tag Team titles versus the WWE Tag Team titles, they still looked different. They were similar looking, but they were different. There was something to write home about for each one, and that's something here that just feels very lazy. And mind you, they beforehand were building this up as if, oh, we're coming up with all these ideas for the championships. We're gonna design it real good, and like, oh, we got all these ideas. So they're all these ideas that they say they had, bullshit, and they come up with the same titles. What? Ugh.
Making those colors, that's a big endeavor. Those different colors.
Yeah, I hate
maybe
this
those
too.
are all those options that they had, was all the different colors. They went through the color wheel and just spun it around until it stopped on a certain one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
I hate this a lot
That's tough
too.
business there.
I don't know what the new philosophy is, because clearly this isn't. I don't think this is purely laziness. This is clearly the result of a deliberate choice, which is we're gonna make all the titles look the same. Now, I heard that the UFC apparently does this. I heard that their titles all look the same.
Yeah.
Now, that may be true. I don't know. But I don't care what the UFC is doing. It may or may not work for them. That's their business. That's their fans' business. But this is shit. I mean, this is garbage. The way these things look they look like... It's not even just the colors. The texture on the new Universal belt is not like this beautiful Trump hat. It looks like someone said it looks like Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, like with his back turned and some metal shit stapled on him. That's true. It does look like that. Like the texture just looks like garbage. I don't, to be honest, the tag titles, I don't have a problem with them looking the same, just because I don't know. It's a secondary tier title, whatever. The originals didn't look that great to begin with, but when you have the main world titles, they don't look distinct, especially when the names aren't even parallel, you know? If it was like Raw belt and SmackDown belts and then they look the same, okay, maybe I can get behind that because it's symmetry. But this is like Universal title and World title, WWE World title. So it's, when I thought they debuted Universal title, I didn't like the name per se, but I thought it still represented something new. I thought this was going to be like a new sort of, representing something different, sort of like the X Division title, where this would be like maybe like something pertaining to what the fans want, like a more fan-oriented title. I don't know, that was sort of in the back of my mind, but now that it just looks like the other one, it doesn't seem like there's any distinction between these two. They have no identities, and it's just redundant to have now 4 of the same design throughout the entire company. It's making it seem like these titles are all on the same page when we don't know that they are. Just
And,
yet.
and don't we want things to feel like Raw and SmackDown are their own separate entities? I remember before the brand split, us kind of talking about this whole, hey, it might be really cool if Raw and SmackDown feel like they're not even, like, there's no relation whatsoever, that our titles are better than your titles, but now it's just like, nah, our titles just have a different fucking color than your titles. Like, that just... that takes away from it for me. Like, you have brand-specific pay-per-views and all these different things and a separation, but that separation doesn't seem so big when the titles, look very visually the same. It's hard to distinguish. If you see a women's title with a red background and a women's title with a blue background, okay, yeah, sure, Raw, SmackDown. But it's just... it feels lazy.
This looks like someone ran the title through the stupid... the beta version of the title maker in WWE 2K15 or whatever version that was. Remember the one where you could only change the colors?
I never messed around with that. I didn't care.
Well, that happened.
I do remember, because you could make the belt plates all different colors.
Yeah,
too,
that
right?
was like the beta version before they made it fully customizable, like adding different plates and whatever. Before that, they just introduced, here's this shitty thing to tide you over where you could change the colors. Any belts that I could make in that shitty creator should not be the the title belt,
I'm gonna go ahead and sell this. Like, pro wrestling, it involves a lot of pageantry and looks. Like, that all matters. And the fact that the titles don't have a different design to them, they're just different colors. That, I'm not saying that, the title sucks because it looks like this, or I'm never going to get behind it because it looks like this. And I understand why WWE may have wanted to do this, but I wish that we would have got some different designs. There was one design that was thrown out there with the Universal Championship. It was designed in the same way that the WWE Championship was from the 90s. That was a fucking awesome design. I really would have liked to have seen that one become a reality, but whatever. We got this, and like I said on SummerSlam, people will forget about it. It's not going to matter, but now I can say that I wish they would have gone with something different. Next up, we are going to discuss this situation that's been brewing about due to the reaction of the Brooklyn crowd at SummerSlam to the design of the Universal Championship. We've had someone like Seth Rollins actually speaking out. He was a competitor in that match. He said Brooklyn let him down. How do you feel, Steven, knowing that you let Seth Rollins down?
I feel kind of fucked up because I was participating in that, and I'll get to that later, but I do feel bad about it, I'm not going to lie.
And we also had Mick Foley
Yeah, that feels like my dad saying he's disappointed in me and Mick Foley's.
Mick Foley, he said, what did he say? When smart wrestling crowds turn dumb, and he went off on the fans. And Steven, being one of the people in the crowd who were actively participating in the chants that were trolling the championship,
joyfully so. I brought this topic in because I noticed something going on inside myself that revealed to me something about the crowds when this happened. When they revealed this belt, my face lit up. Like, I just grinned. I felt like a bully who just smelled like blood in the water. Like, oh, this is gonna be good. Look at the shit we're gonna give WWE right now for this crap. Like, I was just glad for the opportunity to shit on the fucking company. And I don't know where that comes from. Actually, I do know where that comes from, and I'll get to that in a second. But I think everyone in the crowd sort of felt this way. We would not react to this company. We would not react to this belt the same way if we didn't have such disdain for the company. And that's how I felt. I felt like I'm so glad that I have this opportunity to shit on this company right now. And I'm not saying that it's the best thing, because clearly I like the company enough to pay money to see it. But the relationship that I have and the fans have to this company, I think, is profoundly unhealthy. And the reason why we shit on that so much is because of that relationship. And I feel bad that Seth Rollins and Finn Balor got caught on the crossfire of that, because I don't have anything against those two guys. I just think we are the type of fans now who feel so rejected and disrespected and patronized and looked down to by this company that any opportunity to shit on them and ruin their day is one that we're not going to pass up, and we're going to do all that we can to do that.
See, that's the part that really, like, I'm conflicted on this whole thing, because on one hand, I don't want to give the crowd a pass for what they did, because the crowd was obnoxious as hell with the chants and things like that. But at the very same time, WWE put Seth Rollins and Finn Balor in a very terrible position in SummerSlam. So it's like I'm sitting here attempting to balance. How do I state that both of those things could be true at the same time and not overshadow one?
No, yeah, I completely agree with
another.
you. See, I'm of the opinion, looking back on it, that it was wrong of us to do it. I don't know if I'm going to say it was, like, morally wrong, but it was a shitty thing to do. But the WWE has their hand in it, because they regard their fans with such disdain that they think they could debut a title that looks as shitty as that and not get that reaction. That's how I feel. I feel like they think so little of us that they don't even have to put effort into making it look nice.
And we're getting a comment in the chat right now from the Camping Troll saying wrestling fans are too entitled nowadays. Do you think that a certain sense of entitlement played into the crowd at SummerSlam?
Yes, and I don't think that's fully our fault, because this is another situation like I was saying when Ryback's comments were floating around, where he felt a sort of entitlement to success based on his performance. And as I said then, he's wrong about that because it's not his company, but in a sense, you can't blame him, because that's the narrative they've been pushing down his throat. They're the ones who say, if you're good enough, we'll push you. And
right,
likewise,
and just
go ahead.
into the same. Oh yeah, you're probably gonna say the same thing I'm saying, but
yeah, they're the ones.
Yeah,
who
they're
say,
saying that about the fans. Like, oh, you can have anything. Like, you know, you guys are so important to us, and like what you want matters. And then
Stephanie doesn't say that. So.
No, not on TV at least, but you know, it's like that they give you this feeling that like, oh, the fans, you know, are so important, and what they want goes. What they want is what we give them. That's, you know, blah blah blah. And it's like,
right.
Then they're coming out and being like, this is the design, deal with it. And it's like, excuse me, you know, and maybe that is a sense of entitlement. But again, don't you know, lay that out for us and then try to take it away whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like this relationship that we have with the company that we watch and that we most of the time don't like is very unhealthy, because they disrespect us and we disrespect them right back, and yet we're still using each other. Like, we're still giving them money and they're still taking our money. So it's kind of a fucked up, dysfunctional, almost abusive, codependent relationship. And I wish it would change. I wish the fans would have more. I think the fans would have more respect for the company if they respected us more, and I think we can know that because if you look at NXT, who treats the fans with a lot of respect, they don't waste the fans' time. They don't look down on the fans. They don't talk down on the fans. They give the fans what they want in general, and their crowds are awesome for the most part. They don't shit on anything. They don't give them the opportunity to shit on anything either, because there's nothing that sticks out as like, oh, this is terrible. But on the main roster, it's the complete opposite. They take every opportunity to think that we're idiots, and I think we just resent that. And I know I, for one, was happy to shit on them, and I think that's what reflects the opinion of a lot of those people. And I think now that I feel that way, and that I've discovered that about myself, I think that's a lot of what's driving the Roman Reigns hate too. But that's a different story.
You know, you talked a little bit about NXT, and we were supposed to talk about that on the show, the comments that you made after, what was it, TakeOver? Or did you make those comments after TakeOver or SummerSlam?
Yeah, well, during TakeOver.
Okay, so if you are down for it, I'd like to invite you onto the PWF Empire podcast so we could discuss that more, because we're not going to have time on this show.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know how we can get to the point where we possibly repair that relationship, but I think that the crowd does need to start doing a bit of personal reflection and taking some accountability for the things that they do, because a lot of the times when they do certain things, it has absolutely nothing to do with what's in front of them. It's like ulterior motives. For example, with the crowd chanting "You can't wrestle" at Roman Reigns. Bullshit.
Yeah, how the hell is he
Stupid.
here
It's
if
dumb.
he can't wrestle? And not only that, but there have been so many worse guys who have wrestled in WWE than Roman Reigns. He's honestly not even bad. People just say he can't wrestle because he can't do flip and shitty shit. You know, he can't do a bunch of different stuff that, oh my god, like AJ Styles can do it, so, you know, Roman Reigns should be able to too. And it's like, guys, apply some freaking logic for a second.
Yeah.
You know, you need some of that logic cream. You know, throw that shit on real quick.
I have an endless supply over on this island, all on my own. If you guys want some,
man.
come on.
Me
for
too.
it.
When you're disagreeing with Finn Balor and Daniel Bryan, who are masters at their craft, about their craft, I think you're probably wrong, because they both say Roman Reigns is a great wrestler, and I'm inclined to trust them a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm going to say their opinion is pretty damn valid, and WWE's opinion as a company is pretty damn valid. And again, that whole Roman Reigns hate stems from the fans. And I know this is a discussion that, you know, that we don't want to really get into tonight. But I think, you know, WWE as a company, if they're going to push this guy as a top guy, well, like, it's pretty clear that it's not just Vince who saw something in Roman Reigns. There's a lot more than Vince McMahon who saw something in Roman Reigns. So, I mean, and again, yes, Jay, specifically Jay. Mm-hmm. That's exactly why he got the push, obviously.
Yep.
But, like, really, I mean, you look back and you say, okay, why else would this guy be a top-level guy unless he had some tools? Obviously, they gave him promos that did not reflect those tools in any way, shape, or form. They didn't really do a whole lot of good with developing his character either. But, I mean, he's got a very good look to him, and I like his powerhouse moves. I think that a powerhouse wrestler is still great. But a lot of people are on this whole thing that if you can't do flips and you can't do crazy moves, then you're just, you know, you're not a good wrestler. If you can't do a 450, you suck. That's like what some of these people seem to think. And I don't know why. Because, to be honest, some of the best wrestlers who ever were a part of the business could only do a few moves. And yet, some of those same exact people are the same ones who are like, oh yeah, Hogan's one of my favorite wrestlers, or Ultimate Warrior is one of my favorite wrestlers. And then they say, Roman Reigns can't wrestle. And you're like, wait a minute. Again, where's that logic cream? We got to get that logic cream.
Okay, so the last topic that we'll be discussing is The Miz. On this last episode of Talking Smack, and if you aren't watching that show, please start watching the show. Do yourself a favor and check out Talking Smack. The Miz was on the show. He crashed the set, and he called out his GM, his on-screen boss, Daniel Bryan, for not featuring the Intercontinental Championship in the same way that he featured all of the other titles on SmackDown. And then this blew up into some big, I can't even say it necessarily was an argument, because Daniel Bryan took a few shots calling The Miz a coward, saying that he didn't respect him, and The Miz went the hell off. I can't even do what he said at full justice, so go ahead and watch it for yourself. Steven and Evan, you two have watched it, right? So, let's discuss.
Daniel Bryan has no filter right now, which is great. I think he has no fucks left to give. I think he's in a position where clearly they want him more than he wants to be there. And that's just the case because he's not wrestling, so I don't think he's dying to do this role. Like I've said before, I think this is just, I mean, he's doing it, but he'd clearly rather be wrestling. So he doesn't need to be here as much as they need him to be here. So his filter is just gone. So for him to say that, I don't know if it was a shoot or work, which, as I said to you guys before, is a great thing, because that's what we need in wrestling, is less certainty about things.
Mm-hmm. I find it funny that on Talking Smack, I get more out of this legitimacy and this, wow, I wonder what's going on. Like, the talk of the town after SmackDown is Talking Smack, not SmackDown as much. And SmackDown was a good show last night, but this entire ordeal between Miz and Daniel Bryan was more personal than any of the feuds that were built up to at SummerSlam. No question about it. That little tidbit was just it was amazing, and especially on Miz's part, I think that was some passion from him that I don't think I've ever seen. Like, this was almost like the man, not the Miz. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was like Mike Mizanin, not the Miz.
This is
talking.
how I wish Ambrose would have reacted when Stone Cold made his comments.
Yeah, that was the someone posted that on what was it? The gutter of the wrestling world on the internet, Wrestling Inc. They said that the Miz, that promo was the Miz taking the advice that Stone Cold tried to give Dean Ambrose.
Yeah. It's a shame.
That's a perfect description of it.
It really is, because Dean Ambrose has still got those chill vibes, those RVD vibes, man, and then you got Miz, who apparently just said, you know what, Stone Cold, okay, I see you, and then does this.
Watch this
the next week or 2 weeks later, and it was awesome. That was great. I mean, this is like, oh man, I wish Daniel Bryan would, be cleared now, and bam, there's your feud. Like, oh my god, but I also like that Daniel Bryan literally said, well, if they would just let me be cleared, then I would still be doing this. Like, I really liked that he just didn't care at all and said the truth, which is that, like, this guy can still wrestle. And, some people will be like, oh, well, he could be on the indies still, if he wanted to be and whatever. It's like, yeah, but I mean, if you're getting all the benefits that you're going to get out of sticking with WWE, like, of course you're going to stay there. Like, the amount of money that he's going to make as a GM in WWE is a lot more than he'll make on the indie scene. So, but I mean, I think it was kind of a really interesting crossover. It was like it was almost like Daniel Bryan, the wrestler, was coming back out in front of us, but then he walked away because he knew he couldn't do any more. Like, he knew he couldn't, that was it. So it was almost symbolic of how Daniel Bryan's career is like in kind of like pulled away from him, And
this is what I was saying to Lucas when I knew it would be like this. Like, you can't have this guy. This is like letting a recovering alcoholic go to bars. This is not a good situation. You don't want Daniel Bryan to be in wrestling right now, because he's very much still in denial, as he stated in an interview recently.
And how can you blame him? I mean, the guy's only in his early to mid 30s and could wrestle. Like, they just won't clear him like that.
Well, the thing is, he physically could wrestle, meaning he's not a paraplegic, but shit, if he did wrestle, he probably would end up being one. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, WWE won't clear him because he is a medical
And remember,
liability.
It's not just WWE now. He went to another doctor who confirmed what the WWE was saying. So
all right. I hadn't heard about that aspect, because I originally heard that his personal doctor had cleared him to wrestle.
That is true.
That's what he said when he came back. Like, when we officially knew that he was no longer going to be competing in WWE, that was the second opinion coming and saying, yeah, you probably don't want to do this.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
From what I understand, he got a bunch of doctors to clear him, which is all true. The WWE doctors said, well, they don't know about this, they don't feel comfortable with it, and then I think that he had a third or fourth opinion that actually corroborated what the WWE's concern was, and found something in his brain that was a huge risk factor, and I think that's what really said to him, okay, this is the right thing to do. But he's very much still in denial, and it's very ambiguous, right? Because you could wrestle and maybe have no problems, right? It could be, it's a risk. It's not like a foregone thing. It's not like
if he has another match, this dude his brain is going to turn to mush.
Yeah, that's not what it is. It's just. I mean, he could very well wrestle and then be fine. It's just a risk.
He's not even at the level of like what Edge was when he had to retire. So that's why it makes it seem like, damn, he really potentially could still have some matches, but. I mean, you think about it this way, would you rather continue to live your life as you are, or have this offshoot chance that you're now suddenly going to be, needing a walker, or worse, a wheelchair, and being barely able to get around, and you're in your 30s? I mean, I'm just saying, I'd rather still be able to walk. So, I mean, you look at it from all the different perspectives, and it's obviously pretty shitty for Daniel to be so young and never be able to wrestle again. That's crazy. So obviously, I think Steven's analogy with the alcoholics in a bar is probably the best way to put it. It really is similar to something like that. Like, you're basically dangling wrestling in front of him, and now he's the GM, so he's around it all the time. So it's just going to make his thirst to wrestle be that much more prevalent. So this is crazy, man. Though that talking smack is becoming a big deal, and it's a good thing for the network. It's a good thing for WWE. That's a good moment to have happen for them. Whether it's a shoot, a work, doesn't even matter. The fact that it felt genuine is enough to make it a moment worth watching and worth tuning into next week. It makes you say, hey, you know what? Now I am going to watch Talking Smack, because if more shit like that happens, I got to make sure I'm watching it.
So SmackDown has 3 hours, but one of the hours is just...
Well, 2.5.
Oh, it's just a half hour? I thought it was an
Yeah.
hour. But either way, SmackDown has some extra time, and I kind of wish Raw did the same thing. I kind of wish they used that hour to do something else instead of giving us 3 hours of wrestling, which tires us out.
Shit, Raw has a pre-show too, so...
Oh, no one watches that.
I sure as hell don't.
Yeah, but Talking Smack, that's a very important show for SmackDown. I was telling Steven before the show, knowing how he watches wrestling, Talking Smack definitely would be... that show would be beneficial for you to watch.
It's almost like it provides an extra layer.
That's exactly what it does.
And it's so necessary. It's so necessary because we don't get enough of that. So now to get that on a regular basis is just... It's awesome. It really is awesome.
And someone in the chat is saying, I'd love to see him become what Triple H was to him, to The Miz. If you look at everything between the lines, that's exactly what it is. I talked about this in the review that I did for SmackDown. This is Daniel Bryan telling The Miz that you're going out there and doing everything that you're supposed to do, but I don't approve of you. And that's exactly the same position that the Authority put Daniel Bryan in. Because, the Miz mentioned it himself. He was like, well, you said you wanted me to go out there and win matches. I won the match, and that's still not good enough. But this was a career-defining promo for The Miz. And it replaces the previous career-defining promo that he did. I think this one was in the feud with him and MVP. If
right,
I
remember
that.
Yeah.
With him walking from backstage out into the... the open area in the arena. Holy shit, this was some great stuff from The Miz. I could feel the passion radiating off of him. That phenomenal stuff. Yeah, and they have to air it on SmackDown next week. They have to.
They should if they're smart.
Alrighty, that's it for this episode of PWF Empire Live. This week, unless you all have anything else to discuss.
Those title designs suck. I mean, I'm not biased or anything, but they suck.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back later on in the week on the PWF Empire podcast. Make sure you guys are tuning into that. Until then, peace out.